where making you better at business is our business with our daily 10-minute business lessons for the real world. I'm your host, your coach, your teacher, Omar Zenhom. I'm also the co-founder of the $100 MBA, a complete business training and community online. And today's episode is a guest teacher episode. On our guest teacher episodes, we invite an expert to teach their area of expertise. Today, we have New York Times bestseller Tucker Max. And Tucker Max will be teaching how to write your book 10 times faster and better. And Tucker knows a thing or two about writing successful books. He has 5 best-selling books, and 3 of them hit number 1 on the New York Times bestseller list. Number 1, 3 books. That's incredible. Tucker's also the founder of bookinabox.com. And today he's going to be sharing with you the exact formula he uses in his business, the one that he charges big bucks for. And I love this lesson because it's so practical. As you go through it, I guarantee you're going to be like, wow, I could do this. I can actually write a best-selling book. So let's get into it, guys. Let's get down to business. Today's episode of the $100 MBA Show is sponsored by Acuity Scheduling, our favorite scheduling app out there. Why? Because I tried them all, and this one takes the cake. Mostly because it does everything I wanted to do, and it's easy to use. But more importantly, it's easy for my clients to use. If you're in the service-based business where you're booking clients, whether you're a business coach, a consultant, a hairdresser, a doctor, a lawyer, you need to make sure that your clients can book you for your time. With Acuity Scheduling, they make it so easy. You just give them your link, and they can book you right on your calendar. Don't take my word for it. Try it for free. Acuity Scheduling is giving listeners a 45-day free trial. Just go to acuityscheduling.com/MBA. Again, that's ACUITY scheduling.com/MBA. We all know the power of a best-selling book. A best-selling book gives you authority, allows you to get a lot of free press, and of course, helps thousands upon thousands of people, if not millions. In Tucker's case, it is millions. So why haven't you written one yet? Probably because you're overwhelmed. Probably because you don't know how to do it. And also, you probably feel like you don't have the time. Well, today, Tucker's going to give you a formula and show you that's all baloney. He's also going to give you an amazing free gift at the end of the lesson, so make sure you listen all the way through. All right, I'm going to pass it on to Tucker Max now, but I'll be back to wrap up the lesson. So take it away, Tucker.
In this short episode, I'm going to tell you how to finally write your book and how to do it 10 times faster than the normal process. Now, if you're listening to this, I'm going to assume that 2 things are true. First, that you actually want to write a book, and second, that you've not started that book, or you started it but never finished. Now, before I tell you how to write your book, let's talk quickly about why you haven't. You know you need to write a book, so why is it not done? Well, I've written 5 books that have sold over 3 million copies, and 3 of them were number 1 New York Times bestsellers. And I'm going to tell you something that most writers won't admit. The standard book writing process is broken. Unless you are a trained professional writer, it's probably not your fault that you can't get your book finished. Think about the problems you've had. You don't know where to start because there's no formal writing structure for books. You're not entirely confident in your ability to write a book because it feels very different than writing an email or a blog post. And it takes so much time that it's basically a non-starter. Now think about how insane the process is. You're expected to sit at a computer and type for a year with no formal structure just to get your ideas out of your head and into text. Would you go through anything that's so painful and unstructured with anything else in your life? Of course not. Well, there's a solution, and I'm going to teach it to you. We developed this solution at my company called Book in a Box over the last 2 years, and we've managed this process for more than 250 authors. And this is the exact set of 5 steps we do for our clients. You can do this yourself, and I'm going to explain how. Step 1 is positioning your book. Positioning is where your book fits in the market. Just like you'd position a company or a startup or a product, you need to do the same with your book. So to position, the first step is you ask yourself, what result do I want this book to create for me? What am I hoping to get out of it? Now, no one just publishes a book for no reason. That's called a diary. When people publish a book, they're envisioning something that a book is going to get them, right? And you need to deeply understand what that result you want is from your book. So some specific results you could ask for or could try to get are things like keynoting conferences, driving leads to your business, creating authority and raising visibility in your profession, finding coaching and consulting clients, starting a business, any number of things like that are totally viable. But you need to be as specific as possible. The test for whether a result is actually what you want is ask yourself, if I got this result and nothing else, like keynoting a type of conference, would I be happy with that? If the answer is yes, then you've got it. If the answer is no, then you need to keep digging. Now, in order to reach any result, your book must connect with an audience. So the next part of positioning is understanding who your audience is. Now, this isn't some subjective imaginary audience. It's the audience you need to reach in order to get your stated result. So, for example, if you want to drive leads, then the audience are your prospective customers. If you want to keynote conferences, then your audience are the attendees of those conferences and the people who book speakers for those conferences. So an audience is not something general and vague like women, but an audience could be women that are 25 to 35 who want to get married in the next year. That's a specific audience. Now, once you know the audience you must reach to get your result, then the third step is asking, what do you have to say that's valuable and interesting to that audience? The answer to that is the topic of your book, right? So remember, your book needs to be about your reader, not about you. Otherwise, they're not going to engage it, right? Why do they want the book? It's got to be framed around their wants and goals. So this probably means that you're going to end up with a niche book. And in fact, that's actually the better result. The more niche your book is, the easier the book will be to market, because you'll know precisely who the audience is, where they are, and what you need to say to get their attention. And the better the direct results you'll get, because the odds are that with a niche book, you'll be the only person in that space. You'll become the authority and the expert. Now, once you have those three questions answered, you should be able to clearly explain who your ideal reader is, what problem they're facing, how your book solves it, and how they'd recommend the book to their friend who's facing a similar problem. That's your positioning, right? Okay, once you have that set, the second step is to create an outline from your position. So the mental frame we use to conceptualize the outline is to pretend you're sitting with someone from your target audience, and they say, yes, I have this problem and I need to solve it, but I don't even know where to start. Where do I start? And then what do I do? Tell me in detail, right? So the way that you would walk this person through the solution to the problem that you address in your book so that they could implement it, that becomes the structure of your outline. You can almost think of the major sort of sections of what they have to do as the table of contents, right? So really, each chapter would be a step of the process. So whatever it is you're solving for people, each chapter is the way that they solve the next step, right? And so each chapter is explaining that step. Usually the way you get across for each chapter, you explain each sort of step is say there's some mix of tactical advice, some mix of ideas around it, and some mix of stories, right? So if you go through step by step, each step being a chapter that explains exactly what it is they have to know to achieve that, that should leave you with an outline that's about 5 to 10 pages and covers your entire topic, right? Now it's time to write the book. And the key to this writing process is actually counterintuitive. You don't actually write, you talk instead. So step 3 is writing the book through interviews. So why is this? Why do you talk instead of write? Because writing is a very difficult cognitive process that requires you to essentially translate your thoughts into a totally different medium, text. It's very unnatural, and it's probably where most of you have problems. And in fact, it also takes a ton of time. So instead of writing, you're going to use the outline as your guide, and you're going to talk through your ideas, just like you're being interviewed for a podcast or a news article. So obviously, you make sure you record yourself as you do this with your iPhone and with a backup if you can, like a computer. And in fact, we highly recommend that you actually get a second person to interview you, right? And you do this as a conversation. It's precisely what we do with a conversation. With our clients, because a conversation is natural and you can read the other person and they can ask you questions and you can fully explain your ideas. Whereas if you do this yourself, unless you're very perceptive, a lot of times you're going to get lost in the details, or you're going to forget things to explain that other people don't understand. If you find someone who's interested in your topic, doesn't know about it, and is willing to ask you questions and kind of acts as the advocate for the reader, that will ensure you get everything out of your head and onto the recording. We like to think of this as recording a very rough draft of your audiobook. In practice, this means about 5 to 8 hours total time, split up between 3 to 5 interviews. That's usually the good amount of time for about a 150 to 200 page book. Right? Once you're done with the interviews, you now move to step 4, which is translating the interviews into book prose. Now, when you're done recording, you get the interviews transcribed. We use this site called rev.com. They also have an iPhone app, and it costs about $1 a minute to transcribe, so it's not very expensive. Now, you could do it yourself, of course, if you want, but I would recommend paying. It's a lot of time. Then you take the transcriptions as you get back and organize them by chapter according to your outline. That basically gives you a very, very rough draft of your book. Now, this is the key step. You need to change it from transcription into book prose, right? This is not easy, but it's 100 times easier than starting with a blank page. All your words and ideas and even your voice are all there on the page. Now you just need to make the sentences and paragraphs flow well to the reader. Now, you can hire a professional to do this if you want, or you can do it yourself. If you do it yourself, we recommend that you go through paragraph by paragraph and actually rewrite each paragraph. Don't just try and edit it. You keep the same ideas and the same voice, and your only goal is to make the sentences very clear to the reader. Right? The closest comparison we've come up with is translation. It's not really editing. You're actually rewriting everything, but keeping the ideas and voice intact. This gives you a nearly complete draft, but there's one step left. Editing. Now, don't edit in the document. Most people think of editing like, oh, I've got to read it on the screen and then go in and change the words or whatever. But that's actually very hard to do unless you're a professional writer. The easiest and most effective way for most people to edit is to actually print your entire book out, on real paper with a printer, and then read it out loud. And I don't mean mumble it under your breath. I mean literally read it out loud, ideally to another person. Because when you read your writing out loud, you catch a ton of things that don't sound right, and it's very easy to identify. And if you're reading to another person, they can help you catch those things. It's the best, easiest way I've ever found, and I do this with my own writing, to actually make sure everything not only reads right, but sounds right, but reads right. So this process, once you do that, you have a finished manuscript, and then you can publish. This process will take you about 100 to 200 hours to finish, whereas doing a book the normal way takes you about 1,000 to 2,000 hours. And the best part is because of how this process is structured, you're almost guaranteed to end up with a better book, right? If you want to start on this process to write your book, that's awesome. But if you feel like you might need more detail than I described in this episode, I'm happy to give you a free PDF of our book that explains this process. Just go to bookinabox.com/book and you can download it. That's bookinabox.com/book and you get the free PDF. Good luck, and I hope to read your book soon.
Today's episode of the $100 MBA Show is sponsored by Earnest. Did you know you can refinance your student loan, save thousands, and make your new loan incredibly easy to manage? Our sponsor this week, Earnest, has created the most flexible refinancing experience to help financially responsible grads take control of their student loans at earnest.com. Their products help clients save an average of almost $18,000, with variable rates starting as low as 2.13 APR. And Earnest never changes its fees, and there's no penalties for paying off your loan quickly. They let you customize your payment to match every budget and every timeline. And their simple dashboard makes it easy to manage your loan even on your phone. And Earnest can do this because they're a new kind of lender, one that looks at things that traditional banks don't, like your savings habits and your earning potential. This is how they're able to give you the lowest rates possible. And even better, their expert in-house customer service team is available via phone, email, or chat for the life of your loan. It takes less than 2 minutes to find out how much you could be saving. And they even have a special offer for listeners of the $100 MBA Show. Get $150 bonus when you refinance through earnest.com/100MBA. Don't get stuck paying more than you have to. Check out earnest.com/100MBA. There you have it, guys. Tucker has given you what you need to get started and get your book out there. I love his point where he talks about explaining how to solve the problem for an audience member. This is a good way to get great content out of you and onto paper, or on your voice recording, which will eventually be on paper. And don't forget, Tucker has given you a very special gift, his whole formula in book format over at bookinabox.com/book. And if you're super busy and you have a lot on your plate right now, but you still want to get a book out there, and you need some help, you should definitely check out Book in a Box. They've helped so many people publish their first book, and they take care of everything for you, so check them out. It's a great option. Tucker, thank you so much for being on the $100 MBA show. We really appreciate your guest lesson. You are an expert at this, and we're so happy that we got you on. Guys, make sure you hit subscribe so you get all our episodes automatically. Tomorrow we got a great episode on what are content upgrades and how to use them on your website. This is a great technique for growing traffic and your email list. We get into that tomorrow. All right, guys, before I go, I want to leave you with this. Today you were given an exact formula of how to write your book, how to get it out there in the world. You have a responsibility now. If you want to write a book, then there's no more excuses. You know what to do now. You know how to do it. Now it's up to you to make it happen. Just keep that in mind. That's the thing about learning. Once you know, there are no more excuses. You just got to roll up your sleeves and make it happen. All right, guys, I'll check you in tomorrow's episode. I'll see you then. Take care.